UFC 259 is tomorrow. It is a huge card stacked. Even the prelims looking have some very big name fighters, and we are discussing it. Predictions and all the rest, guys. Everything surrounding this event with my brother Tony Scungili. And if you're ready for it, Tony, tell him what to do.
Don't wait for the main event. Watch all the early fights. These look really good.
Alley flying.
Hello, what is up, Valley Maniacs? I am Valley Fly, and welcome back to the Valley Fly 76 channel, where we are discussing UFC 259, looking very big. I'm discussing it with my brother Tony Scungili. Tony, how have you been?
Dude, I've been great. I've actually been waiting for another UFC fight that had multiple fights that I cared about, and this is actually one of them.
This is a very big card. I don't think I've been so hyped for a card for a while. Now, there have been individual fights I've been more hyped than some of these fights, but this card as a whole, one of the biggest cards that I've seen for a while now. So without further, let's just get into it, brother.
Yeah.
All right, undercards. I mean, let's go down here. Number 2. Flyweight in the world, Joseph Benavidez versus the number 3 flyweight in the world, Askar Askarov on the prelims. Now, the favorite, it looks like it's Askar, even though he's ranked number 3. Joseph Benavidez coming in after that nice fight with Figueiredo. How do you see this one going? Are you leaning more towards Benavidez or Askarov?
So I've watched a lot of Askarov fights, and you know, I'm comfortable with them. I think that if you look at the odds, they tell the entire story. You know, like, these odds are not nearly as far apart as they can be, and obviously it's number 2 versus number 3. But you're favoring number 3. They're like, he's scrappy. He's scrappy. He's a scrappy fighter. What's weird is they're not showing the records at the undercard, but I guess that's fine. He's pulled through a lot of decisions, and that's kind of something that I look forward to, is like, basically how many people just make decisions, make their decision versus how many people end the fight before. I think Askarov can do it. I haven't seen much of Joseph Benavidez, so I'll just say that off the top.
Okay.
I don't really watch too many flyweight bouts. I generally don't watch people who weigh as much as the amount of meat I eat in a day. So, but I have seen some, and this is one of those fights that, like, make me want to tune in a little bit earlier. This
is probably the earliest good fight on the card. I'm really looking forward to this one. There's actually some good in the early prelims as well, but I'm looking forward to this one. Probably going to go decision. I'm actually going to go against the odd makers and pick Benavidez. I think he still has a lot left in his career. I'm going to pick him to win by decision. By decision, that's fair. Where do you see that? How do you see this fight going down?
I think Askarov's just got a little bit more juice in the tank right now. Okay. So I think that I don't think this is going to go to decision. Okay. But let's say like end of 2 rounds, like really close to the end of 2 rounds.
2 rounds, and how do you see a submission? Knockout.
No, I see him catching. I see him catching.
Okay.
I'm seeing him catching a kick.
Nice. Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. We'll see what happens with this one. Now he's scrappy. I'm gonna skip over this one. I'm gonna go right to the Cruz and Casey Kenny fight, because Dominic Cruz, the Dominator, awesome commentator. We see him all the time. Prelim fighter. What has happened? How's Dominic Cruz going in the prelims?
This fight's gonna go on like. Like at dinner time, like you're gonna be making dinner for you and your family, or if you're like me, like heating up Hot Pockets, and like you're gonna be like, wait, Cruz is fighting right now? What just happened? Like, this is insane how early this fight is. To see Dominic Cruz in the fight, and like you see Dominic Cruz 11, and no offense to Casey Kenny, another person who I don't quite know too much about, but come on, like come on.
All right, so Dominic Cruz, man, I'm a little slight. He has not won since 2016. Were you aware of that? He has not won in a while. Now, he's also been hurt, taking a lot of time off. It's not like he's fighting all the time and losing all the time. I think he's fought like once, 2 or 3 times since 2000. He has not had a win since then. He lost to TJ.
He lost to TJ.
Let's go look at it. Let's go look at it. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. Let me make sure it's accurate. All right. Yeah, so he lost to Cejudo on 2020. He lost to Garbrandt on 2016, and he beat Uriah Faber back in June 4th of 2016. Has not won for a while. Now, granted, he's fought some good fighters in Cejudo and Garbrandt, but yes. So even though he is the dominant Cruz, not getting a lot of wins. And Casey Kenny, let's take a look at his record as we go down, because I got to say, I'm not as familiar with Casey Kenny as well. So he won versus Wood. He won versus Altang, Smolka. So it's picking up at least a 3-fight win streak. If we go back down further, yeah, so a lot of different fights. I gotta say, I gotta pick Dominic Cruz on this one. Is that where your head is leaning as well, or do you see an upside happening here?
So like you could look at the last couple of fights, but you know, especially as the longer you've watched UFC, like you start to learn. You know, we're still just guys talking about men. That's how I tend to say it. Like, it's a bunch of guys talking about men. Like, you see that, like, the fights that, like, lost, it's not just like, oh, he lost, therefore he lost. Like, you have to look at why he lost or how he lost. And it looks like Dominic was having some life problems. Not just, like health, like... He was never quite ready, and maybe he was a little bit more confident in his abilities. But his record still stands at 22-3, even though he's on the where those 3 losses come from, the last 3 fights. So either he's on a losing streak and he's over, and that's it, or you know he got pretty reasonable fights. And he just couldn't overcome them due to either his own situation. Maybe he got a newer team. Maybe there's some changes that have to be made. Like, so I don't know. But like, you watch his fights and he never looks uncomfortable. Like he never looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. So I even though he's on a losing tear right now. I mean, you know,
to be fair to him, it's against Henry Cejudo, who's very good, and some people say one of the best of all time. It's because he has an Olympic championship. He's won championships in the UFC 2-weight division, so no shame losing to Cejudo, and even that is controversial. Remember Dominic chastising the ref for, hey, I was standing up, you shouldn't have stopped that fight. So with that one, and then Cody Garbrandt looks awesome in that fight against Cruz and hasn't really looked the same since then. So I'm not sure where to rank him. He says he's healthy. He hasn't been as healthy as this going into a fight. I think I gotta lean with Dominic Cruz here.
I'm gonna say very few fights that end in decision, like unless it's unanimous, you know, which very rarely is. Very few fights that end in a decision do I consider to be like indicative of the problem. Now, if you're losing multiple fights to decision or to like a ref call or something like that, like then maybe you just lost whatever it was that you had that was able to win. And that's not diminishing results that end in decision. But like if a fight ends in a decision, especially not a unanimous one, I tend to not look at that as a true loss or a power loss. Not to say every fight can end in a knockout or a submission, but those are fights that I'm like, no, that like you lost. You tapped out, you know. You got your clock cleaned. Like that like you lost the fight. Why? You figure out, you go back to the gym, you figure out. Like this, I just feel like Dominic Cruz's losses weren't necessarily losses that were definitive of him sliding. So I think
even though it's been years, do you think he's done and should just go into the commentary booth, or do you think he still has some left? Because
I think we're gonna find out tonight. I think this is it.
All right,
you know what I mean.
We'll see. So, what is your prediction then? Do you think he's gonna turn around, Dominic?
I think it's him. I think he has to.
Decision.
You know, I think you're gonna see. No, I think you're gonna see. I think it's gonna go to decision, but I think what you're gonna see from Dominic Cruz, especially if you've watched his previous fights, I think you're gonna see him be aggressive in like the first 6 minutes. You know, like the first 2 rounds. Like you're going to see him try to end the fight faster so that he can silence the critics, like us. Like he's going to say, I still have it. And I think that if he can't do it in that time, then I think we're gonna see a decision that probably ends a little bit on Casey's side. Mainly because a little bit.
All right, so you're saying either stoppage by Cruz, or if it goes to decision, it's gonna be Kenny.
I don't think he'll win by decision. I think you're gonna see an aggressive start, and I think that either Casey's prepared for that or he's not, and that's gonna if he's not prepared, he's done. So I think it's Cruz. I think it's Cruz by a knock. But if he doesn't get one in the first 2 rounds, I think that that changes everything. I think the 3rd round looks really bad for him, and the rest of the fight just goes in, and then I think he's kind of over.
This is a hard one to predict for me because of the long layoffs, all the injuries that has accumulated for Dominic Cruz. But I'm going to say decision on this one. All right, let's go through this fun one, the main card. All right, let's start with this one. Thiago Santos, Alexander Rakic. Now, Thiago Santos did lose to Glover in his previous fight, but before that, went to decision with John Jones. Some people think he won that fight, and then the fight before that, he did beat this guy, the champion, Jan Blachowicz. So his past 3 fights, 2 of them look very, very good, and Glover just looked really good in that last fight. Alexander Rakic coming off a big victory as well. I can't remember who after. Oh, it was Anthony Smith. He beat Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
This one I think could go either way. Santos is a little older. I think my head is going towards Rakic just because he's younger. But if we went by resume, Santos has a much better resume than Rakic does, than the people that he's beat. But I think I'm going to go with the youth on this one and pick Rakic. Second round KO.
I'm going to agree with Rakic, but it's really hard for me to see Santos getting knocked out. Like if you just, I know it seems crazy, but like he's built a little bit stockier.
It happened against Glover though.
It did. But like you get caught once, you know, like you act a little like you can't be too cowardly about it, but like you get hit in the head once, you tend to learn how to not get hit in the head in that specific way. So I just look at Santos. So like I look at Rakic, he has a reach advantage of like 2 inches and a leg reach advantage of like infinite. So he's probably going to try to keep the fight distant because if you look, Santos is just built meatier. You know, like he just is. So a lot of the thing, like any way he tries to keep him away is not going to land actual effects on him. He's just built like a thicker man. So those like keepaways and the far strikes, those are gonna not do anything. They're not gonna like wear him down. So the fight, Santos I think wants in, and I think Rakic wants to take advantage of his distance, of his reach, and I don't think he'll have the power behind the reach. So I like Rakic. I like him by decision. I think that like if as long as he can keep Santos away, I think he'll land enough, like, I don't want to say pity strikes, that's unfair, but I think he'll land enough hits to like win by decision over time. And if Thiago could close the gap or get into like a cinch, then we have a different problem.
Yeah, I think, and he's the favorite as well. I was before I found out Santos' age, because I thought he was much younger. I thought he was in his 20s.
How old is he?
He's in his 30s. He's in his late 30s, I believe. Let's go check it out to see if it is here.
I was like, please don't tell me he's younger than me.
He's 37. He's 37.
Okay.
And when I thought it was in his 20s, I was like, yes, Santos. But when I thought it's 37, I'm like, he could be in the winding down phase of his career. So that's age is the main reason I'm picking Rakic on this one.
Well, you have to change your fight styles. As you get older, there are things that change about your body that you can't. Like you're not faster, so your fight style tends to mean you have to be a little bit more powerful than you are like quick.
Yeah.
And I think Santos has the power. I think the power advantage goes to Santos in this fight, but I think that again, he's a striker. He wants to hit you.
I don't think this is going to go to the ground. I think both of them would be standing. It's going to be war.
That's the point. I think if I'm not saying cinch like if he gets in, he can start throwing elbows. He could start forearms. Sorry, forearms, not elbows.
You can do elbows. Hitting. This is MMA. You could get.
I know. I'm just saying. I was supposed to say forearms. I know that. Joe Rogan told me that. So like.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
So like knees, and like, he can stick to the strikes the way he needs to, is close. But I think that Rakic has the advantage of just being able to keep away. As long as he can like keep his distance in, he'll land more strikes, and that's what's going to go to the decision on him. I don't even think it's a unanimous decision. I think it's Rakic split decision.
Okay. I'm going for second round knockout from Rakic. Both of us picking him though. Islam Makhachev, Drew Dober. How do you see this fight going?
I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea. I have no idea. Yeah, like if I don't know enough about either of these men to make an actual assessment. I'd have to look it up and make it up on the fly. But I would normally look like, okay, so what's their reach? What are they doing? What are their last fights? And then I see a minus 335, and I'm like, okay, I'm going Islam.
Yeah, neither
You know,
of us are too. I mean, both of these guys are outside of the top 10. I don't think either of us are too familiar with these fighters. Both of us, I think, are going with the odds makers here. How do you see this one going? Decision, knockout, submission? Let's go look at it. Let's go look at it. I'll do this. Let's pick up their wins. All right. 17% of Makhachev's wins by KO, 39 by sub, 44% by decision. Drew Dober, more by KO, less by sub, and less by decision. So
I'm trying to remember. Is Dober the man who just likes to get hit in the face?
I know he has a very, very fast knockout on his resume, but I don't know if he likes getting hit in the face.
No, I mean, like, I think I remember seeing a fight. Now that I have a zoomed in picture of this guy, I think, like, I know it's weird. I remember his body hair. That's weird. That means I watch a lot of men fighting.
What?
Like, yeah, like, I'm like, I know that. Like, okay. So I think I've seen him just kind of be a little bit greedy. Like, I'll take a hit to the face if it means I can get close up. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like Dober, like, look at his jaw. Like,
yeah, I don't see this one standing. I see Makhachev bringing him down, using his wrestling, holding him down, either getting a sub or controlling enough to get to the decision.
Dober has won no contest. Like, what? I don't even. All right, I don't. Listen, I'm gonna go with Makhachev, but honestly, I'm betting on Dober. You know, really? Like if I'm putting,
wait, look at the payout. How can you go with Dober and pick Makhachev?
Because Makhachev's gonna win, but I'll put $100 on Dober on the off chance of making 250. You know what I mean? Like I'll lose 100.
Now
like, the odds are too good for me. I'm a gambler at heart, man. The odds for me is like maybe this dude pulls it off. I don't think it's as ridiculous, but like you look at a record of 23-9-0. This dude likes to get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, he's not even that old. Like, he's like 23-9-0. Imagine he was like 24 and you're like, what are you taking fights in bars? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, I don't know, man. Like, Dober's one of those guys. I don't know anything reasonably about these fighters. And I think Makhachev,
he does have some big knockouts. So one punch might be all it takes with a guy like Drew Dober. But
yeah, and he doesn't look like much of a kicker either. Like, he looks like he's just going to like.
He's gonna look for that one shot. All it's gonna take is one shot, and the fight's done.
That's the gamble. His gamble is if I get one, I win, and if I don't, I lose. Let's try it. Like,
that's why you might bet money. The odds, and all it takes is one punch. That's what happened with Lewis last week.
Yeah.
Actually, not last week, but that's what happens with a lot of Lewis fights. All right, and 3 championship fights on this card. Huge. Let's start with this first one. Peter Yan, brand new champion, bantamweight champion, for his first title defense versus Aljamain Sterling. Woo! Striking versus jiu-jitsu. How do you see this one going?
So I gotta give it to Yan.
Okay.
He won the vacant title from Aldo. I think it was via TKO, and that was a really good fight. And Aldo is no slouch. You know,
Yes.
like it was a really good fight. And this takes nothing away from Aljamain Sterling because his name is Funkmaster, and that's amazing. Like that is the great choice. He is phenomenal. He has ridiculous reach on both his legs and his arms. I think he is a phenomenal fighter. I think the odds got it right. I think this is a coin flip. But like I'm always gonna lead with the champion, especially when the champion wins the fight reasonably, like by decision. He yes, it was vacant, but you beat Aldo. You did it by TKO. I think it was like 5th round or something. Like it was
late.
They went the while. So that means he has the stamina. Now maybe Aldo didn't. Maybe Aljamain does. I don't know. But he was able to take it out there. I like leaning with the champions. I have to see a lot from the challenger in order to be like, oh, never mind. And I think Sterling's great. I think it's going to be a great fight. But I'm going to always go with the champion if the champion has the belt.
And how do you see him winning? Decision or stoppage?
It's not the same fight as, like, remember, the fight against Aldo went 5 rounds and then won by TKO, which is not necessarily the same. So, like, I think this has got to be a decision fight, which always sucks. You know, I always feel like, I always have an opinion. If you win a fight, if you win a championship fight by decision, I don't think you should become the champion. Unless it's unanimous or, unless everyone's like, no, you clearly won that fight.
So pro wrestling style, you gotta win it with a pinfall.
Yeah, pinfall or submission. Or it's so obvious you're the winner that you the champion turtled and you just landed infinite hits or something. Like you can't do that. That's so whenever I see a split decision. So I like Peter Yan winning, but it's a 50-50. I wouldn't bet on this fight. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like I would put no money on this, but if you made me, I'd put it on the champion and just hope it
Even
held.
if you bet on this fight, you wouldn't make a lot because the odds are not good. I'm gonna go with jiu-jitsu. I'm very biased toward jiu-jitsu. Sometimes I think they're both great standing. I think they're both great on the ground. I'm gonna go with the upset here. I guess it's not an upset; it's a pick'em. That's why. But I'm gonna go with Aljo winning this fight.
Okay.
I think he's gonna have a little more control. I think he might get sneaky and get a few submission attempts in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think if he gets a submission, it's gonna be when they're early, not as sweaty and dry. So I'm gonna say either by round 2 he's gonna get a submission, or it's gonna go all the way to decision. And if it goes decision, Jan might win. But I think I'm going to go with round 2 submission for Aljamain Sterling.
Aljamain has to submission. But let me clarify. No one has to do anything. One hit from him will knock anybody out. I'm just saying, like, his path to victory is submission. So by definition, Peter Yan's is preventing submissions and landing hits here and there to go to decision. So Aljamain, I think we're going to see a lot of the first couple of rounds of this fight being submission defense. You know, being like, if they're on the ground, you're going to see like Turtle Jan, like protecting his wrist, making sure his arm is tucked, making sure his shoulders are in so he can't get like curled. And I think the only way I could see Aljamain Sterling winning is 1, Jan messing that up, or 2, and this is one it was like predicting Tony coming out. I think like if in the process of Jan defending, Aljamain shifts to ground and pound. Like if he just goes like, fine, whatever, I'll just punch you in the face 10 times. Like that is like, that'll be like, and I'm thinking that's first round. I think you're going to see either completely like keep away from Peter Yan, or they're going to hit the ground and we're going to see 2.5 minutes of 2 dudes rolling on the floor.
Oh, like, this is going to be such an, I cannot wait for this fight. This is going to be a good fight.
I'm so excited to watch this fight because I've watched Yan and he's Russian. I love watching Russian fighters because it always feels like they had no idea they were in a fight and we're just cool with it anyway. They always feel like they showed up and were like, let's go guys. Let's,
This is good. All right, so this Sandhagen, he beat Sandhagen pretty recently. Munoz, Rivera,
he earned his shot at the belt.
Sandhagen is no slouch. Sandhagen is very good. But so is Jan. But I'm still picking Sterling. All right, by second round submission. All right. Is this the biggest spread that you've ever seen? 12.
This is so big a spread. I wouldn't bet
plus 750.
It's too big. I wouldn't bet on Megan. I wouldn't put $1 on Megan because this spread is. And again, I feel so bad to talk about it because it's not like Megan Anderson's a slouch either. She's
one of the best fighters at the featherweight in the world. But Nunes is just on a different level. She's one of the best in the world.
For anyone who's watching this video and is like, I don't know too much about the UFC or this fight, please understand, Megan Anderson is an absolute beast and capable of incredible carnage in that octagon. And Amanda Nunes is a god.
Well, a few of her recent fights have went to decision. If we look at her record, knockout. But her past 2 versus the Randame, decision. First Felicia Spencer, decision.
We watched the Durandamy fight.
Do you think that she's going down, or do you think her skill level's decreasing now that she has a child, maybe not as focused, or do you think she is? Is there a hole in her armor? Is there a chink in her armor yet? Is I guess my question, or is she still dominant?
So something happens to fighters, and you see it a lot. Like I always think of like Chuck Liddell and like Randy Couture as you go on, like as you find your success, as you hit your stride, you try to end fights early, and if you can't, you become more intelligent in the it's a rep. It's the reps, you become more intelligent in the ring because you are the champion. You have to prove something. Even if you look at Georges St. Pierre, he'll say he won't go into any fight right now that won't further his legacy. Like the legend of Georges St. Pierre. Like at some point, you learn more about not losing than you do about winning the fight, and I think that's where Amanda Nunes is in her career. I think she's like, I know I'm gonna keep this belt until somebody so thirsty for the title who can keep me moving backwards, who can keep me on my toes, who can be aggressive enough that will not only know I'm looking for that first round and the fight so I can go home and eat a bagel, not only that, but like anything else, like that I don't think she's getting rid of this belt until someone comes in. So yes, Megan Anderson has a great opportunity in the first 45 seconds of the fight to let Amanda Nunes know that she's been training to lay on the smack, like I'm going to hit you until the end of time. And if that goes that way, she has her chance, but that's her chance. Amanda Nunes just has to sit there and be like, make one mistake and you're done. Or I'll sit around and wait for you to make a mistake because at the end of the day, I'll land a couple of hits and I'll get the decision. I think it's Nunes. I think it's decision. I think it's Nunes. I think she's smart enough. I wouldn't be surprised to see a very early knockout, but if it's not, I don't mean very early like first round. I mean very early like first seconds. Like first like under the first minute. Do you think Nunes is
going to stand with Anderson? Anderson does have that kickboxing background. Nunes has some skills on the ground, even though she hasn't really needed to show it. So
Nunes is better at defending than she is at, like, if you're on the ground, Nunes is going to punch you until you knock out. That's what she's proven. So if it goes to the ground, Nunes is going to jockey for position to get a couple hits in. I think that I don't know what Megan Anderson's trainers are telling her. I don't know how you're preparing for Nunes. I know if I'm preparing for Nunes, I'm preparing to be like, try to land a hit early to jostle her and then just lay on the pressure over time. Like, obviously you want to end the fight as quick as you can, especially if you're going for a title. I think Nunes, first of all, I think Nunes has no problem standing up with her. That's fine. I don't think she'd prefer the ground. You don't think
she's going to try to avoid some danger? Say, hey, I could get you, but maybe you could get me. Let's make it safe. I want to retain this championship.
I think that's all part of the standing. Like, I don't think she's going to stand face to face and throw slugs, but I think she wants to keep the fight up. I think she wants to keep circling the ring. I think she wants to keep a little bit of distance and then let Megan make the first mistake because she's the champion. She's proven she's the champion, and she's literally unconscious in the ring. She doesn't she doesn't make decisions. So I go Nunes by decision, and that's like I would put money on it. I just don't have $12.50 to
round 3 stoppage. I think it gets the ground and pound, and the ref stops it. Okay. That's what I'm predicting there. All right, and now the big one. The lightweight and heavyweight championship is on the line. 2 champions. Adesanya moving up from 185 to fight the 205 champ Jan Blachowicz. Woo! Adesanya is the favorite here. How do you see this going? I mean, are you going with the odds makers here? Do you think this is going to be stand up? Do you think this is going to be on the ground? I think both of them are more stand-up fighters, but how do you see this one going? Do you think you see Jan just wrestling him and ground and pound?
Adesanya is gonna kick his head off.
Okay.
That's it. He is going to kick his head off.
Do you think Jan can take this to the ground?
No.
No?
I think he wants to. I have watched Israel Adesanya. I have watched Israel Adesanya fight for the last 3 times. We watched one of his fights together.
That doesn't count. That Romero fight does not count as a fight. That does not count as a fight.
No, it counts because Adesanya. Listen, if you say that didn't count as a fight, so did Adesanya, and he made that look easy. So this Adesanya, this dude scares me. Like he has 75% of his wins by knockout. He does not have the time. He has stuff to do. Like he does not go into a fight with the intention of like, hey, let's see who's the better fighter over time. Like he goes into a fight and will throw back kicks and like front kicks and just try to keep you in kicking distance. His leg reach is 44.5 inches. You know, like he's 6'4". He will absolutely keep it. Now, he might do a little softening, but I think Adesanya is throwing what's a kick version of a haymaker? Like he's throwing those as long as he can.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, like he's just spinning kicks. I think he's gonna. This takes nothing away from Blachowicz, like absolute monster, amazing. If this was anyone but Israel Adesanya, I'd say we have a really good fight in our hands. I will watch him kick. Like you're gonna see so many glances off the shoulder. If Blachowicz can get his guard up quick enough, he will throw so many kicks. I'm saying I can't even pick a round. Because all I know is that that's how Israel's going to win this fight. He's going to kick him in the head, and the fight is over. And it's going to take him as long as it takes to figure that out. They're both champions. They both have every amount of regard. So we have to remove everything from the equation and just look at what the guys are capable of. Israel Adesanya is going to kick his head off.
All right. I'm going to go with a differing opinion here.
Okay.
I think the odds makers are right to say that Adesanya is favored. But
yes.
Blachowicz, 205 champion, not the 180. He's not a 185er. He probably walks around way heavier. He's got power. I don't know if Blachowicz lands one clean shot, it could be over. Which all he needs is one. Whether in round 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, all he needs is one, and Adesanya turns into a white belt. And at that point, if he lands a solid shot, so can he defend for 5 rounds? Against a champion that has some wrestling, can Blachowicz get to the ground? If he gets to the ground, I don't see Adesanya
if Adesanya
winning. But
throws an errant kick and he grabs it, it's over. It's the same conversation. Like I agree, and there's a lot of ways this fight can go. These are two exceptions. There's a reason this is the main event. There are plenty of good fights on this card. There's a reason this is the main event, but I am going with Israel Adesanya with a head kick. That is what he wants to do. Whether it works, it's either going to work or all of a sudden none of it's going to matter. But I think that this fight is not a fight that you don't go to, it's a champion versus champion belt. These guys are going to try to prove.
Do you think Adesanya is looking past Blachowicz for that John Jones fight or that Ngannou fight?
I don't think. No. I think that's a talking point. A lot of people. You know what's funny? That's always the first thing people bring up, after the fight. If he loses, no matter what happens, someone's gonna say well, he was looking at the John Bones fight. That's what's going to happen? No.
It happens. It happens. It has happened.
I know it has happened before. I don't think Adesanya's, they're different fights. That's the problem. But I think if you're spending all of your time, if you needed this much time to train for John Bones, which is actually not unrelatable, and you're not worried about the guy who's about to knock you out, you might not have that fight. I don't think Israel's playing. I think he's prepared for this fight. I think he knows the way John wants. I always say his name weird.
Jan. It's like Peter Yan and Jan Blachowicz. Yeah. So with Israel, I think, is the most skilled fighter. He has angles. He has distance. He manages stuff very well. He's very hard to take down. Yoel Romero couldn't do it. Paulo Costa couldn't do it. I think there's slightly better wrestlers than Blachowicz, but I don't know. For some reason, my gut is leaning towards Blachowicz, and maybe it's because Adesanya talks so much trash, and I'm kind of not wanting him to be talking as much trash. But I don't know. I'm going for Blachowicz. I'll say round 3. I'm going to go against logic and everything and pick Blachowicz here.
You're like, I have no reason to believe this. Blachowicz round 3. And
there is a reason, because of the power. If he lands it, he could do good. I don't know if Adesanya's ever been hit flush. I don't know if Blachowicz is the guy to do it, but for some reason, that's where my mind is going. So Blachowicz round 3, KO, put it in the books. We'll see what happens.
I mean, so wait. So Blachowicz is fighting down, right?
No. Adesanya's coming up to 205.
Oh, Adesanya's coming up?
Yes, this is for the light heavyweight championship.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to that. So that does make a slight difference. You're right. That does make a slight difference. I think that because Adesanya is very familiar with how to escape with a very specific body type, and he has a very specific body type. He is incredibly lean. So he knows how to, I don't want to say wriggle, because that seems weird and childish, but like he knows how to get out of situations that because he understands his body. That extra 20 pounds, that makes a slight difference in movement. So hopefully he hit that weight very early in his training and became more comfortable with his motions. That could be the difference maker.
I don't know if it's true, but what he says is he's not gaining weight for this fight. He's staying at 185. So does that change your pick at all? No. Still Adesanya head kick. All right.
If he's not changing his weight and he's fighting at the weight he's comfortable in, yes, there are weight brackets for a reason. Yes, that does make a difference. But Adesanya is really good at not getting hit. He's really good at avoiding that. And the more weight behind the punch only matters if it lands. So you're right. If he lands the punch, it's a bad day for him. But Adesanya has proven.
Can he hit him?
Like,
That's the
there's
big
a reason
question.
He's
Can he hit
undefeated.
him?
There's a reason he's undefeated. I'm just saying that. Like, Adesanya's undefeated
there's
for a reason.
There's also a reason that he's never been hit flush. You know, I'm saying if he's never been hit flush, I don't know if he can take a punch. There's a reason that he's never been hit flush. So
yeah, but
we'll
like every fight up to this point for Adesanya has the same conversation. Like, if he hit him, he might go down. And like, what happens if he takes a strong hit to the jaw and he's like, whatever? Like, what if he's also pain tolerant? Then we have a god in front of us. We don't know.
Could be, but that's the question that we haven't had answered ever. You know.
Yeah. I am so excited for this card. Like, I haven't been excited for like, usually I tune in for like 1 or 2 fights usually.
Yeah.
This is a card that I will be sitting down at 6 o'clock and getting ready to watch every fight.
All right. Well, I am going to watch as many as possible as well. I'm going to start with that prelims because there's some good fights on the prelims, brother.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure.
Always.
Let's see how these fights turn out. We'll come back and maybe do an assessment of it. Hopefully not that long. This video went 40 minutes, brother.
I will cut it.
No, there's nothing to cut. But
there is.
We'll go short. All right. I will see you next time. Maybe on your channel, maybe on my channel. Where can everybody find you if they don't already know, my friend?
I do Marvel Strike Force and video game content on YouTube and Twitch. You can find me by typing / at the end of those websites and Tony Scungili.
Sweet. So links will be down below, guys. Check him out. Let's see how these fights go. Leave your predictions in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Tony, give me a Hulk fist bump before you go, my brother, and let's get prepared. UFC tomorrow, guys. I am excited. Hulk fist bump, Valiant Tony out. Oh yeah, baby.